So to be clear, Mr. Trump has no financial relationships with any Russian oligarchs.
That's what he said. That's what I said. That's obviously what our position is.
You've said you have no investments in Russia, but do you owe any money to Russian individuals and institutions?
No. Will I sell condos to Russians on occasion? Probably. I mean, I do that. I have a lot of condos.
I don't have any deals with Russia. I had Miss Universe there a couple of years ago. Other than that, no.
We could make deals in Russia very easily if we wanted to. I just don't want to because I think that would be a conflict.
I own nothing in Russia. I have no loans in Russia. I don't have any deals in Russia.
I had the Miss Universe pageant, which I owned for quite a while. I had it in Moscow a long time ago. But other than that, I have nothing to do with Russia.
I didn't do the project. I decided not to do the project, so I didn't do it. So we're not talking about doing a project. We're talking about not doing a project. Michael Cohen, what he's doing is he was convicted. Of various things unrelated to us. He was given a fairly long jail sentence, and he's a weak person. And by being weak, unlike other people that you watch, there would be nothing wrong if I did do it. I was running my business while I was campaigning. There was a good chance that I wouldn't have won, in which case I would have gone back into the business. And why should I lose lots of opportunities?
Hi, I'm Barry Gordon.
And I'm Andre Coleman.
And this is NewsRap live at 5.
Introduce ourselves and invite people to call is what they want, so we're going to do it now.
Well, all right. Well, we're back. I think we introduced ourselves already, but we'll do it again.
Because that last one, man, they caught us.
I'm very good. No, what happened was you caught this move that I was doing, right? Because when Trump was talking, that last clip, he was so close to the camera, and I said, it's almost like he's going to lunge into the camera. So I was lunging toward Dre when you came into our cold open. Just a little technical thing that I'm sharing with you, and you don't need to know. Anyway,
you're still Barry
happening?
Gordon?
I'm still Barry
Coleman.
Gordon, and you're Andre. It says it right there. I can just read it. And so that's who we are. And this is NewsRap, and this is our last show for the year.
That's right. 2018 is coming to a close.
So we're not going to bug you through the month of December, but then we'll be back with you in January.
To start it all over again.
And this has been a great time for us. We've had a lot of fun, and we want to thank all of you for participating, for watching, for calling, for texting and Facebooking and doing everything.
There's the number right there.
There's the number. Call in right now if you want. 626-794-8585. Tell us what you think next year is going to look like.
Yeah.
We'll share a little bit about what we think next year is going to look like. And I don't know. After the last couple of days, you know, for a long time, I was kind of saying, well, you know, we're just going to have to deal with this guy until 2020.
You kind of thought he was Teflon Don a little bit.
Kind of thought that. I'm really beginning to question it now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Michael Cohen could turn out to be his John Dean, and that could be the end of him. If you don't know who John Dean is, he's the person who brought down Richard Nixon.
And the guy who Nixon didn't think would bring down Richard Nixon.
That's right.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. Two things real quick. I thought that seeing Trump do that interview, and we played it in the cold open there, and if you guys want to just grab a moment of that and freeze it on the screen, then that's fine. If not, don't worry about it. But I thought that his body language, his facial expression as he walked off, I thought that was the first time that he looked like he realized he could not hold on to his presidency no matter what. That was the first time he really looked scared. He really looked like he was worried about it was slipping away.
Well, his lies are catching up.
Yeah, and now he's doing...
And that is always going to happen with a liar, is ultimately their lies are going to catch up to them. And he has lied for so long that he doesn't even know his lies, and
Well-
he just switches. It's like, it's like sleight of hand.
Right.
It's like, I never had any dealings with Russia, nothing with Russia, nothing with Russia. Well, I had a little deal with Russia.
Right.
But, but it wasn't an important deal. It just keeps going and
Well, and
going
before-
and going, and at some point he can't survive
Before,
that.
when he was cornered, he would tell the lie, and he would just leave the lie there, and then he would pivot when he needed to pivot to the next subject. Now he tells the lie, and 2 hours later he's telling another lie because the first one did not stick to the wall.
Yeah.
And so you see him becoming more and more frustrated, trying harder and harder to make the method work, which took him to the presidency.
I think that's right.
And now it's not working so much for him.
Right.
And I think that's where his issue is coming from now.
So the link, though, now that I think has to be made, if there is a link, is we now know about this Trump Tower Moscow deal, right?
That's right.
We think we know, at least according to the reporter in BuzzFeed, which I actually interviewed Jason Leopold on my radio show.
50-50.
But there's a good chance that it's true. So we think we know that as an inducement, he offered
Putin.
Putin a $50 million penthouse
That's right.
for free. Now, what we don't have yet, we're seeing the tip of this iceberg. The rest of the iceberg, if it's going to do what I think it might do, has to now tell us how we get from a hotel deal to Russia deciding to make him president.
Well, I think you might be, and I think everybody who has examined this little path has taken it that way. I take it another way.
Okay.
I don't think he necessarily offered Putin a suite. I think Putin told him he was going to give him one. What if they already had something on him?
Well, that goes back to the Steele dossier.
See, what if he was taking it?
Yeah.
And the Steele dossier also said,
By the way, a lot of the Steele dossier now has
be
been
correct.
corroborated. So,
and so from a reporter's point of view, not assuming that the rest of it is correct, but I have to start now proceeding like more of this is true that's in here because so much of it has already been true. Mm-hmm. So how do I confirm the next thing? So I don't go with after the hotel, the Russians made a decision. I go with a decision had already been made and they already had something on Trump. And so Putin said, you're going to give me the penthouse suite. I'm taking it. It wasn't an offer. He was taking it because he already had something.
that's an interesting view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody's going the wrong way. Back up some.
That's very interesting. Because at some point, this becomes the hack.
Yeah.
Which becomes the WikiLeaks release, which becomes Stone and Corsi knowing about it, which becomes them telling the Trump campaign.
Can we run the Manafort clip again? Because I don't think we hit this hard enough, to tell you the truth.
We may not have.
So
we may not have.
Run that Manafort open?
It's in the very beginning.
So to be clear, Mr. Trump has no financial relationships with any Russian oligarchs.
That's what he said. That's what I said. That's obviously what our position is.
It made him look even worse because he was out of sync.
He looks faded, to
But
tell you
he
the truth.
does. Yeah, he looks completely lost
Yeah, drunk.
in that answer. So, that's the. I think though we have to make that connection.
Well, I think not only do we have to make that connection, the other connection I think that comes out of Cohen is that Cohen said that he said this out of loyalty to number one, who is Trump, and to follow the talking point. I'm paraphrasing. Mm-hmm. But Donald Jr. said that it was when he testified, he knew nothing about it. But Cohen also said that he had talked to and updated members of the Trump family about this.
So let's get a little Shakespearean here.
Go ahead.
Does Trump sacrifice himself for his son?
Hell no.
Or does he sacrifice his son for him?
The only person I think that he would sacrifice himself for might be his daughter. But either one of his sons, I really don't think he would lift a finger. He would pardon, and if that led to his impeachment because he was obstructing justice, that would be a great result for us. But does he resign to save his son?
Mm-hmm.
No, not at all. Not at all. I don't think he cares enough. I think he cares more for the power than he does the family ties.
I was thinking too about the incoming Democratic House majority,
Okay.
which is now, I think, 40 seats. 40 seats,
But it's not a blue wave.
I think they got Cox in instead of Valadao.
But it's not a blue wave. Remember that.
No, it's a pretty.
I know,
it's
that's sarcasm.
It's a pretty good wave.
Okay, so go ahead.
So when they come in, the media is immediately going to go to, well, they better be careful because if they impeach him, it's going to look political. I think there's a point in which if they don't impeach him, it's going to look political.
Of course.
Because there's a point when they're just going to look like they are concerned about what it's going to look like if they impeach him.
Right.
Other than saying this guy does not deserve to be in the White House for this reason, this reason, this reason, this reason, and this reason, and we can't ignore it anymore.
Well, I said before the show, we are going to get to a point where it's not one crime.
Right.
We're not even talking about collusion anymore, which is not against the law. We're now talking about obstruction of justice. I think at some point we will be talking about tax evasion.
We may be talking about money laundering.
We may be talking about money laundering. So at some point...
Because Felix Sater now is back involved. Yeah. And we know Felix Sater's background. He's Russian mafia.
Yeah. So at some point, they're going to be going, not only did you do this, but you did this, but you did this, but you did this. And at that point, even the GOP would say, we got to get this guy out of there. I think we have a comment up here.
I think that's right. We got a bunch of comments.
Gus
maybe.
Stock.
Yeah, she will turn on him. He would resign for his son. He will resign. You think Ivanka will turn on him? Ivanka? Melania might, but I don't know about Ivanka. He would resign for his son to save face. He might.
But when has Donald Trump ever tried to save face?
That's good stock. Thank you, good stock. He hasn't so far. Yeah. No.
He pretends like it rolls off of his back.
That's true. Well, obviously, Washington isn't the only thing we look at in this show.
No.
There's some interesting news going on locally in both Pasadena and Glendale
and the surrounding areas.
Other surrounding areas. So we're going to move to our news brief.
Check this out.
Pasadena has selected the top 4 applicants for the Pasadena police chief, including the interim police chief, John Perez. City manager Steve Mermel has stated that the names of the other candidates have not been released to protect their privacy. This has sparked some controversy for the department, which is already being scrutinized after a series of scandals that ultimately led to the early retirement of former police chief Sanchez. Many community activists are saying that the process should be much more transparent to rebuild trust in the community. Glendale City Council adopted a temporary rent freeze on Wednesday. After December 27th, landlords will not be able to increase rents more than 5% while the city tries to flesh out a stronger rent control policy. The ordinance is modeled after an ordinance passed by LA County Board of Supervisors in September. LA County has enacted a 6-month rent freeze in unincorporated areas of the county. GM has announced that they will be laying off up to 15,000 workers as they close U.S. plants. GM is attempting to save $6 billion in annual costs by removing 15% of its global labor force, which includes shutting down 5 U.S. auto factories. Automakers say changes in people's driving habits are leading to a decrease in new auto purchases. The Woolsey fire in West LA County is now under 100% containment. The fire left close to 100,000 acres burned. 3 deaths are reported and 1,600 homes have been lost. Some areas remain under evacuation. Currently, officials are warning about the increased potential for mudslides following the recent rains in the burned-out areas. For more information on resources following the disaster, you can visit lacounty.gov/Woolsey Fire.
So, Dre, as deputy editor of the Pasadena Weekly, you must
PW.
have some thoughts about this police chief search.
You know what? It's interesting. I mean, we're down to 4 candidates. Interim Chief John Perez. Obviously.
I know you love to look at me, but I'm not that pretty. So go ahead.
You know what?
Talk to
Looking
the
there, I
folks.
always feel like there's nobody there. I always feel like so
I
always
know.
move back and forth. But it's interesting because, and now I see a face coming up there. Interim Chief John Perez obviously has to be considered the odds-on favorite. 4 finalists left. Cheryl Moody. The big news this week is Falante Riddle, former police lieutenant, not even getting an interview.
I'm surprised by that.
You know, I don't understand how you do 28 years with the department, how you break the color barrier, how you work your way up to lieutenant, and I would even hazard a risk that she probably didn't become commander because at that point she was Sanchez's PIO and he had her in that position, but she did apply for it and he considered her very valuable there. And you can't even get the interview?
Just the folks that may not know, what is the process? Who are they interviewing with? Who actually selects the police chief?
The entire decision-making power lies with City Manager Steve Mermel, not the City Council. Steve Mermel says, you're the guy. For
Not the
whatever
mayor.
reason. Not the mayor. Steve Mermel says, you are the guy. Now, he has chosen 10 community members to serve as a community panel and do an interview, and then he will do final interviews himself. But a lot of people are kind of questioning this Falante thing. I mean, I do think, at the very least, she deserved the interview. Now, all 4 of the people who are finalists are commanders and above in their departments, including the 2 locals that we have.
And where are the other 2 from?
But this is the
Okay.
big point. The application said commander or equivalent job experience. So you didn't have to be a commander, and she obviously has the equivalent job experience. Now, I think Gustock has a great point there. Why wouldn't they have a public forum between the last candidates for police chief?
That is a great point.
Seems
yeah.
like common sense to me. A lot of stuff has been made. A lot of points have been made about we can't say the names of all 4 candidates because anybody who's not from Pasadena, you'd be putting your job at risk. Baloney. And I'm going to tell you why. If you have gotten this far in the process and the interviews start on Wednesday and you have not told your chief or your city manager that you're a finalist in Pasadena, you're not transparent anyway. What does that say about you?
That's very true.
You're hiding it.
Yeah.
So at this point, I would imagine that all serious candidates have told their city manager or their boss, and we should do what PCC is currently doing. They have 3 finalists. Somebody will be the next superintendent president. And all 3 of them are going on the campus individually and holding forums and meeting students and meeting faculty. That's the best way, in my opinion, to do this. Allow the citizens to meet these people.
Yeah, it does seem like a very closed process.
Yeah, and
are the meetings of the community panel open to the public?
No, they're not. The names of those people were revealed this week, yesterday, actually, but the meetings themselves are closed. The
So
interview
there's
process,
no opportunity for public input.
Nope. But most likely, I would say there's a 90% chance that the public has met the new chief already, and it's John Perez. And I would say because, look, John Perez has worked for the city of Pasadena for a long, long time.
Yeah, he has. Yeah.
And John Perez is the current deputy chief. John Perez has held every position of note in the Pasadena Police Department. If John Perez can't now become the chief of police, why is he even still working in Pasadena? You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
If you have been here that long and you've held all those positions and now you can't ascend to the chief seat, well, he's wasted his time or the city's wasted its resources training him. So I would say there's a better than 95% chance that John Perez will be the next police chief. Simple as that. And I like John. And I think he's doing a great job right now.
Okay.
But I wouldn't care, Barry, right now. I would say the same thing. If they hired you to be the police chief, I would say Falante Riddle should have gotten an interview. I don't care who it is. I would say Flante Riddle should have gotten an interview. Simple as that. She has the experience. She has the qualifications. She should get the interview.
No, I think that's right.
Yeah.
I think that's entirely right. But when is this all going to end? When do we know who it is?
I think January, they'll probably announce the new chief. I mean, this Wednesday, they're going to do one round of interviews, and then I think the Mermel round will happen soon after. Both rounds are supposed to happen in December. And after that point, the city manager, with the input from the community panel, which he does, I don't think they make a recommendation and say, this is the guy.
Yeah.
But I think he takes their recommendations, he does his own thing, and at some point he goes, this is my decision. Simple as that.
Yeah. So, my friend, what are you going to do for the holidays?
I'm going to relax, man.
Yeah, me too.
That 5 days off
Me
during
too.
Thanksgiving was great.
I stopped teaching. I'm going to be off until January 22nd. That'll be nice. So,
Now you are coming back for next year to start to kick off.
That's
You'll
my
be here, right?
that's my plan. And
You haven't heard anything different, right?
No, I haven't. As a matter of fact, I've been hearing that things have been moving forward very nicely with the show.
That's right.
We can now legitimately thank the thousands of viewers who watch us. We understand that a couple of our shows have actually gone over
Gone pretty
to the
good.
2,000
To the
mark.
2,000. And hovered
So
right around
that's
there, too.
it's a good start.
Yeah.
And we want to build on it.
Yeah.
And what I really want to do before we go off the air is to thank everybody in the booth, on stage. Today we have Gabriel. Thank
Come here,
you, Gabriel.
Come on, come here.
Yeah, come on.
Come on, come on. Come on back here.
Gabriel is our wonderful floor manager.
That's right. He gives us all of our
And
cues.
in the booth, we have our producers. We've got Danielle and Chevelle.
And sometimes
I think
you may even
Ian
hear-
is probably there, and Jared is there, and
sometimes
Gary
they
is
even
there.
hear
and
Danielle's voice, like the voice of God when she comes
the
in.
voice of God,
And she
or
talks to
actually the voice of Facebook.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hi, yeah, I'm here.
There she
There she
is.
There's a lot of comments coming in too, so
We
you
see
take a
that.
look. Yeah,
Yeah.
You want to address some of these?
There they are. Gus
Okay.
Stock says he likes John Perez. He's local and
Okay.
he's into accountability, local policing at its finest. Another Perez pick there.
Yeah.
And
And
how much do we
do we
need to
pay for these fake searches? I know. I like reliability.
Oh,
Okay.
there's Chris Jahanian.
Oh,
Hey,
Chris.
What's up?
How you doing?
What do we think is going to happen in 2019? For one thing, for a fact, two important left organizations are going to join together and emphasize the conversation to address the economic inequality that has been going out of control for over a decade now with no solutions, even being seriously
Whoa.
discussed by Washington mainstream media. This new organization will be both critical of both Republicans and Democrats
and Trump.
They will be focusing on other parties, or at least one more new party that can represent 45% of independent registered voters.
And with
more.
that, you'll have about 5% of the electorate.
Yeah, maybe 3.
Yeah, no, that's not going to work, Dan.
Yeah.
Now is not the time.
Nope.
Now is the time to pick sides.
Yeah, get rid of the
And
idiot
if
in there.
you want to get rid of economic inequality, you know what you got to
Right.
do, right? Now, yes, you can primary some of the blue dogs. I don't have a problem with that.
Right.
But
Let's get rid of the idiot there and then start talking about the system.
Let's just, and also let's get rid of Mitch McConnell as majority leader.
Scroll back up
We have
some.
a
Let's
chance
see
to
what
do
else is in
that in 2020.
What about the Green New Deal? Well, we'll see. We'll see. I'm all for anything that's going to help people.
Absolutely.
Obviously. Scroll up a little bit, and how much do we pay for? You know, the police search. I did know the price. I agree. I don't think we need to do these searches if we're going to hire from within. And that's pretty much about it. So, good comments.
Yeah, very good comments. So again, we want to thank you. We want to thank our wonderful crew. And we're going to have a lot to talk about next year. We're going to have a House majority and a Senate, a Republican Senate, a Democratic House, and a batshit crazy president.
Who is
and
scared
so
out of his boots.
there is going to be a lot to talk about. And we're also going to have to see. We're also going to have to see what happens. I just saw a sign, but I didn't understand
Honduras
it.
clip.
Do we have something from Honduras? Oh, do we have a clip from the border? As we go? Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. Oh, wow.
All right,
That's
so-
dystopian.
Yeah, just so you guys know, your audio is live, but this was when they were sending tear gas.
This is when they tear gas these people. Wow.
That was the tear gas. Well, we're going to have to do something about that. You know,
But what?
and look, well, we have to have immigration reform. I mean, you know, Gabriel said that before we went on the air.
But
We
be
have-
clear about what immigration reform is not.
It's not letting everyone into the country.
And it's not a wall.
And it's not a wall.
I agree.
It's good security at the border, and it's doing something for the wonderful dreamers. And it's finding a solution so that people who have been here for years and years and years, undocumented, can finally become part of the American dream. That's what we have to do.
And an asylum process. You can't just say nobody can get in.
No.
You know?
Of course not.
I'm not down with that. I'm going to say this, too, as before we sign off, Barry, that you and I have been doing this show. We did it in another iteration before.
Yeah.
Man, this show, for me, is nothing without you.
Well,
So I'm glad you came back to do this with me again.
I feel exactly the same
So-
way. So as we sign off, we're going to have a hug. All right.
I'm not doing that, but
yeah.
nah, we ain't doing it like that.
Okay. Andre Coleman.
Barry Gordon.
This has been NewsRap, live at 5. We staying for Facebook?
We're staying for Facebook.
All right.
I'll shake your hand, man.
All right, man.